Let me start by reminding you of the plot of the Shawshank Redemption, and then we'll try to unpack all the hidden meanings behind it. The movie begins with the trial of Andy Dufresne, a banker accused of murdering his wife and her lover.
I hereby order you to serve 2 life sentences back to back, 1 for each of your victims.
Andy is transported to Shawshank Prison.
Looked like a stiff breeze would blow him over. That was my first impression of the man.
Where the warden introduces himself to the new inmates.
I believe in 2 things, discipline and the Bible.
Andy meets Red, a prisoner who can get almost anything for a price.
I'm Andy Dufresne.
Wife-killing banker.
I wonder if you might get me a rock hammer.
What?
Andy helps a prison guard with a financial problem.
Tax-free? Tax-free. You get the forms, I'll prepare them for you.
And in return, requests beer for his fellow inmates.
Drink up while it's cold, ladies.
This earns him the goodwill of the prison staff.
Can't say I approve of this, but I suppose exceptions can be made.
He's later assigned to work in the prison library.
Hey, Jake, where's Brooks? Andy.
A cover that allows him to offer financial advice to the prison employees.
Andy did tax returns for half the guards at Shawshank. Year after that, he did them all, including the wardens.
After 50 years behind bars, a prisoner named Brooks is finally released.
I can't believe how fast things move on the outside.
He ends up in a halfway house.
I wake up scared. Sometimes it takes me a while to remember where I am.
But finds himself unable to function in the outside world, which he no longer sees as home. Andy secures funds to expand the prison library.
He wrote 2 letters a week instead of 1. Appropriations Committee voted an annual payment of $500 just to shut him up.
He also receives used books and old vinyl records, one of which he plays over the prison loudspeakers for everybody to hear.
And for the briefest of moments, every last man at Shawshank felt free.
The warden exploits Andy's financial expertise to conceal his own embezzlement schemes.
You be sure and thank Maisie for this fine pie.
Andy creates a fictional identity, Randall Stevens, through whom all the illegal money is laundered.
Mr. Stevens has a birth certificate, driver's license, social security number.
A young thief named Tommy arrives at the prison.
Mr. Rock and Roll, cocky as hell.
Andy helps him get an education,
Kid passed, C+ average.
and Tommy later reveals that he knows who really committed the murders Andy was accused of.
Elmo Blatch. Big, twitchy fucker.
But the warden wants to keep Andy in prison, so he orders Tommy's murder. Andy asks Red that, once he's released, he visit the place where Andy once proposed to his wife.
There's something buried under it I want you to have.
What, Andy? What's buried under there?
You'll have to pry it up to see.
Soon after, the prisoners fear Andy has committed suicide, but it turns out he has escaped. Andy uses the false identity of Randall Stevens, which he had previously created, to take the warden's money.
And the signature was a spot-on match.
Andy exposes the warden's financial crimes to the authorities. The warden takes his own life.
I like to think the last thing that went through his head, other than that bullet, was to wonder how the hell Andy Dufresne ever got the best of him.
The prisoners remember Andy and the extraordinary things he did.
Friends of mine could use a couple of beers. And he got it. And he got it.
After 40 years, Red is finally released.
I don't give a
and sent to the same halfway house where Brooks once stayed.
Get busy living or get busy dying. That's goddamn right.
Red fulfills the promise he made to Andy,
I will be hoping that this letter finds you.
and the two friends meet again. Okay, now that we've recalled the plot, let's look at it again, this time paying attention to what happened first in the timeline. But before we do that, a short info. If you're interested in my art, all the links are in the description. Here I paint in digital for fun, but I am mainly a traditional oil painter. Okay, back to the analysis. The film begins with Andy's sentencing, but the earliest important event is his proposal to his wife under that beautiful tree. So we start with a man and a woman united in love beneath a magnificent tree in the middle of a clearing. Does that remind you of anything? The next key moment is when the man and the woman sin.
They had sinned.
And as a result of that sin, death enters the picture.
Was their crime so great as to merit a death sentence?
In paradise, people were supposed to live forever. Now, every life comes to an end. But Adam and Eve's sin brought upon us not only physical death, but also spiritual death, eternal damnation. In the movie, Andy's wife wants a divorce in Reno, and he responds with words of grim, unwitting prophecy.
I'll see you in hell before I see you in Reno. Those were the words you used, Mr. Dufresne, according to the testimony of your neighbors.
Then, an innocent man is sentenced for a crime he did not commit.
You saying that Andy is innocent? I mean for real innocent?
It looks that way.
Notice that earlier, under the tree, Andy was with the woman, but later, someone else commits the evil deed. In the Bible, Jesus is called Second Adam. He replaces Adam and corrects his mistake. I have the impression that the prison represents life itself. When Andy arrives, Red even compares it to being born.
The first night's the toughest. No doubt about it.
Upstairs.
They march you in naked as the day you were born.
While in prison, Andy accomplishes things that others thought were impossible,
I swear the stuff he pulled.
as if performing miracles. The first was getting a beer for his fellow inmates. The first miracle of Jesus also involved giving alcohol. From time to time, the warden searches the inmate cells to check for anything suspicious.
119, 123.
One day, he comes to Andy's cell, and the following dialogue takes place.
Pleased to see you reading this. Any favorite passages?
Watch ye therefore, for ye know not when the master of the house cometh.
Mark 13:35. Always like that one. But I prefer, I'm the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life.
John chapter 8, verse 12.
At first glance, Andy's line seems like a humorous remark about the warden's surprise inspection. But I see it as a warning. The true master of the house is not the warden. It's Andy. Andy is warning him that justice will come one day, when he least expects it. The warden responds with a line about being the light of the world. In the Bible, of course, it is God who is the light of the world. But there is another being also described this way. The name Lucifer literally means bearer of light. Before his fall, Satan's task was to reflect God's light, much like the moon reflects the light of the sun. In his quote, I see a suggestion that just as Andy mirrors Jesus, the warden mirrors Satan.
You'll see the flames for miles.
When Andy plays the opera over the loudspeakers, it sounds like angelic music, reminding everyone of the freedom beyond the prison walls.
Haven't you ever felt that way about music? You need it so you don't forget.
Forget.
Forget that there are places in the world that aren't made out of stone, that there's something inside that they can't get to, that they can't touch.
In the same way, Jesus reminded people that this world is only a stop on the way to the kingdom.
Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal.
Andy builds a library. He teaches others and helps them grow.
I was thinking maybe trying for my high school equivalency here. You helped a couple fellows with that.
Jesus, too, was a teacher. Andy stands up to the warden, who appears to be the film's most religious figure, but who, in truth, is filled with greed and hatred. Jesus faced the Pharisees, religious leaders in name, but hypocrites and moral corrupts in reality. The first inmate to be released is Brooks. He ends up in a halfway house, a place that is meant to prepare one for freedom. Later, Red is sent to the very same place, even to the same room. To me, this resembles the Christian concept of purgatory. When Tommy is murdered, the prisoners notice a change in Andy's behavior and fear he's going to kill himself. The next day, when he doesn't leave his cell, they think he's dead, but the cell turns out to be empty.
Man missing on tier 2, cell 245. Dufresne.
Oh, my holy God.
Just like the empty tomb of Jesus.
Lord, it's a miracle! Man up and vanished like a fart in the wind.
Jesus said that no one will enter the kingdom unless they are born again.
How can a man be born when he is old?
In the movie, Andy escapes through a tunnel he carved into the wall, hidden behind a poster of a woman. He emerges as if through the womb of a woman, and above the poster, the word mother can be seen. Before gaining his freedom, Andy must crawl through 500 yards of a sewage pipe full of filth. Before his resurrection, Jesus descended into hell. As I already mentioned, Jesus taught that we must be born again to become new creations. He did it first. He died on the cross and rose again, returning renewed. After escaping, Andy also takes on a new identity, that of Randall Stevens, a person he himself had invented to launder the warden's money.
Until that moment, he didn't exist, except on paper.
When the warden's crimes are exposed, he finally opens the Bible, perhaps sincerely for the first time, seeking comfort, because he has no other hope left. But it's too late. Inside, he finds only a note from Andy. Dear Warden, you were right. Salvation lay within. The Bible opens to the book of Exodus, the story of God's chosen people escaping from bondage. After Andy's escape, the prisoners talk about him and the extraordinary things he did, just as the apostles spoke of Jesus. Before the fall of man in Eden, there were two trees, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and the tree of life. God forbade eating from the tree of knowledge, but allowed Adam and Eve to eat from the tree of life. Through the tree of life, they could live forever. When they disobeyed and ate from the tree of knowledge, they brought death upon themselves. Then God said that until their mistake was corrected, they could no longer eat from the tree of life, because doing so would mean living forever in a fallen state. That mistake was later fixed by Jesus. That's why in the Bible, Jesus is called the second Adam, and the cross is called the tree. Once the mistake was corrected, humanity regains the chance to enter paradise again, and once more eat from the tree of life. You can see the same pattern in the Shawshank Redemption. When Brooks left prison and went to the halfway house, purgatory, he couldn't yet pass into true freedom, because Andy had not yet escaped, had not yet reached the shore, and the tree of life was not yet ready. When Red is released, the camera doesn't point towards the prison, like it did with Brooks, but outward, toward freedom. Red struggles with the same doubts Brooks had, but his time in the halfway house doesn't end in death. Red has a relationship with Andy. The movie ends with the reunion of two friends, Red, who served his penance in Shawshank, and Andy, a carpenter, working on his boat by the endless ocean.